Would I consider this to be nice news when it comes to Polkadot? Well, in terms of fundamentals, yes, but in terms of price, absolutely not. But I'll talk about that later. But even though nothing I say is financial advice, recently, Polkadot, they did some things. Basically, they kind of improved a little bit. They put this as leveling up, so to speak, right? Because they say that today's runtime upgrade marks the beginning of a faster, simpler, more usable network designed for real apps. Now it says what changed, right? It goes through a bunch of random things which are a little bit kind of boring, but basically they put a picture below and they say that smart contracts enabled on Polkadot. But they also continue this post by saying how this is the start of a better experience, or this is the start of better experiences, I should say. And they talk about interfaces that feel closer to Web 2. They say fewer delays, fewer steps, smoother flows, apps that improve faster with short iteration cycles. And also, they talk about even below that as well, how the economics are simpler and more predictable. They say this. Now, how is this even the case? Well, they say that a fixed maximum supply of 2.1 billion dots. So keep in mind, now, supposedly, there's a fixed maximum supply of 2.1 billion dots. So in terms of the inflation, right? Or should I say the hypothetical potential inflation, it may not be as kind of unpredictable anymore. It may be a little bit more, I guess, less worrying, right? Because as of right now, the current circulating supply of DOT is around 1.66 billion, around that range. So seeing how supposedly there's a fixed maximum supply of 2.1 billion DOT, it's pretty cool, at least personally for me. When I take a look at Polkadot as a project, even though, again, I just want to clarify, I'm not a financial advisor and I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but if I take a look at this, I feel like this could really, I think, reflect positively when it comes to Polkadot later on. Now, granted, as of right now with DOT, literally approaching its all-time low. I'm not joking, by the way. With the way things are trending, hypothetically, we'll wait and see, but it's like nearing all-time low levels. In which case, am I complaining? Well, in terms of if I wanted to exit, I'd complain a lot, but I'm not looking to exit at all, actually. If I take a look at DOT currently, it's around 29 and a half times approximately lower than $50, which, again, people may be thinking, like, that's really bad. And from the perspective of, again, exiting, I get that, but I'm looking to dollar cost average. Like, personally for me, would I be happier dollar cost averaging in a totally random make-believe scenario? Again, would I rather be happier dollar cost averaging, right, into Bitcoin at $1 or at 70 grand? Even though we're not at 70 grand currently, but I'm just saying, I'd be way happier back then, right? Had it been still around $1, but it's clearly not anymore, but I'm saying. So for dollar cost averaging purposes, I like to be focused when people are not really that focused when it comes to the project. Or should I say kind of the general consensus, if a project is kind of ignored, that's when I want to really just even be more focused. This is the way you take a look at it. But by me dollar cost averaging once a month, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, like I knew my horizon wasn't going to be days, it wasn't going to be weeks, it wasn't going to be months. I knew that it was going to have to be years. And granted, ever since I started holding DOT, it really hasn't done that much in the grand scheme of things. Like, we've seen moments of brilliance, but we haven't really seen like a genuine, true altcoin season during this cycle, right? So personally for me, it's been quite a long journey, but you know what? I'm just gonna wait it out, I suppose, and I'll see what happens. But I'm not telling anyone to do anything, right? This is just personally my perspective. But the reason why I'm willing to wait anyways is because I feel like, okay, sure, something like Ethereum or Bitcoin many, many years ago, they had a lot of ups and downs, right? But keep in mind, I was not holding a long time ago. But had I been holding, sure, I would have been probably at times like, oh wow, take a look at this dip or something like that. But I take a look at the general direction, what it did afterwards, right? Sure, we're having a pullback as of right now, but we have to take a look at where they were many, many years ago. However, if I was holding from back then all the way up until right now, I would actually not be like too upset because take a look at where they were back then, right? And also on top of that, I was living my life anyways back then, but I wasn't holding, so it just did its thing without me. So whether I'm holding or I'm not, the market's just going to do its thing with or without me. Simply put, that's going to be the case. In my perspective, like DOT currently has over 1 million holders. I can't do anything when it comes to this. So whether or not DOT wants to do this or do that, whatever direction it wants to go, it's going to do it whether I'm holding or not. That's the thing. And also, if we ever even do see a hypothetical altcoin season during the cycle, and the keyword is if, it's also going to maybe happen with or without me. So I like to just be waiting. This is the way you take a look at it. It's like, sure, the roller coaster is going to go with or without me, but sometimes I want to be part of that roller coaster. I sometimes want to go on the Revenge of the Mummy in Universal Studios. That's the way to take a look at it. So, yeah, this is my mindset as of right now. And I don't think Polkadot has bad fundamentals either. I mean, it's focused on interoperability. It's focused on connecting blockchains together. It has a canary network called Kusama. Kusama, again, it hasn't been doing the best. However, at least still it has Kusama as its canary network. But also, when I take a look at Polkadot, let's take a look at its closest competitors, right? Let's take a look at Cosmos and Axelar to a certain extent. Axelar is just way smaller, but I'm just saying, like, they're kind of the most popular ones that are recognized as being somewhat competitors when it comes to Polkadot. Are they having a pullback? Yes, they are. We take a look at Atom, the native token of Cosmos. That's having a pullback. We take a look at Axelar. That's having a pullback too. So it's not like it's only Polkadot. And even if Polkadot was the only one having a pullback, it's still like by far the most massive project out there in terms of popularity that is heavily focused on that interoperability space. So now that I see Polkadot 2.0 and I take a look at the recent update that I saw when it comes to Polkadot, I think it's pretty interesting news to me. I think it's pretty cool actually, considering the tokenomics. Also on top of that, I take a look at the recent updates that they did when it comes to Polkadot. They call it like leveling up. I just find that pretty cool overall because I think that moving forward, it could really help developers and just, other individuals that do want to use Polkadot. Maybe, right? So I'm still waiting, but ultimately there's nothing I can really do about this space. I'm just going to stay patient. That's about it. But ultimately, no one has to do what I'm doing, right? This is just personally my perspective. However, I still like Polkadot. And also aesthetically, right? Remember Polkadot changing its theme? They made the whole design more minimalist. They made the site more minimalist as well. And yeah, I just like the things that they've been doing. It just hasn't necessarily been the best timing in terms of aligning it with the altcoin space. Really, that's about it. But had this all happen, let's say the redesign, Polkadot 2.0, the recent update that they did, basically they call it leveling up, I suppose. Had they did all this like during an altcoin season, it'd be a completely different case. But we're not during an altcoin season. But sometimes the way you take a look at it is how could this type of stuff reflect later on, right? Because sometimes the track record, the historical things that a project did, sometimes it matters during an altcoin season. So ultimately, sure, it's not the best timing when it comes to being aligned with altcoin space, but in terms of developing the project moving forward and for the long term, I think it's actually pretty good timing because why wait to improve sometimes? Sure, it may not align with the altcoin space, but why not? If they can improve, I don't see what's so wrong about that. But yeah, besides that point, I'm just going to wait. That's pretty much about it. However, I just want to say thank you for watching. I hope you all have a very nice day. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.